Hey everyone, Chrono here again today with another Monster Hunter World video. And today, I just want to talk about some of the changes that's coming up in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now, the first change I want to talk about is layered equipment. Layered equipment is getting an overhaul, and Capcom previewed this in the first developer's diary. Now, we didn't really get a lot of information at the time, aside from the fact that we now craft layered equipment through the smithy. Now, as of today, there is actually a video going around which shows us some more information regarding layered equipment. However, the video is in Japanese, but there are some translations out there showing us some of the changes that's coming up with Iceborne using this video. And one of the changes that's coming up with Iceborne regarding layered equipment is that we can finally craft all of the sets in-game as layered equipment. Now, this means that all of the sets that we have as of right now, both low, high rank, and master rank, will now be available for crafting as layered armor. So that's one of the key things that's going to be coming up in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. And the user interface that Capcom teased kind of backs up this claim, because they've now categorized it between low, high rank, and master rank, as well as the fact that they gave it some rarity. So it kind of shows that we are now basically going to get the functional equipment as layered equipment, because they're treating layered equipment in the same way as functional equipment. Now, in terms of how we get layered armor, there's not a lot of information on that as of yet. One of the theories is we potentially get the ability to craft layered armor as we get the functional version of that armor first, and some of the other ones is that Capcom made some more quests for us to do with the master rank system, as well as some of the optional quests. And the last theory is in regards to the treasures that are going to be coming up with Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now, the treasure stuff is basically leaked from the trophy list that's coming up for Monster Hunter World. So if you want to know more information on what the trophies are, got a link in the description down below in regards to that. Now, the other key changes that's coming up is in regards to skills themselves. As of right now, we all know by now, during the beta, they showed us some of the equipment. They had level 4 decoration slots on them. So this means that we are basically getting level 4 decorations. Now, the decoration slots themselves are going to be mostly on master rank equipment. So level 4 decorations are going to be available for master rank stuff. Now, the skills that come with level 4 decorations is a mix of existing skills and new skills. So this one, for example, this is basically bleeding resistance, which is new to Iceborne, and this one is artillery level 2. So these are a mixture of both new skills and existing skills. In terms of the changes with skills as well, we are getting some buffs and nerfs on certain skills. Now, I'm not sure on all the changes with regards to skills. However, these are the ones that I am aware of and are quite important. So first and foremost, weakness exploit now incorporates the clutch claw attack mechanic. So in order to get the full bonus of weakness exploit, you need to soften up a monster's weak spot in order for you to get the full bonus. If you don't soften up a monster's weak spot, let's use the level 3 weakness exploit for example, you only do 30% affinity boost. So your affinity boost has been reduced from 50% to 30% with Iceborne itself. So with Iceborne hits, if you're using weakness exploit, then you have to tenderize the monster's weak point in order for you to get the full 50%, as the extra 20% will only apply to monsters' weakened parts when it comes to Iceborne. So that's one of the key changes as well. The other one is with maximum might. This is actually quite a big nerf, and to be quite honest, it's quite a ridiculous nerf as well. With maximum might, you have to maintain your stamina at full at a certain amount of time before maximum might kicks in. In other words, if you've used stamina and then it goes back to full, it has to stay in full within a set amount of time before the boost kicks in. So basically speaking, you cannot use any stamina draining attacks for a set amount of time after you've used a stamina draining move, because maximum might will not kick in until the time is up and that you've maintained that stamina within that prolonged time for maximum might to kick in. So basically speaking, I'm not quite sure on how long it is. Let's go with 7 seconds. So you've used the dodge and then your stamina goes back to full. You have to stay in full stamina for a full 7 seconds before maximum might kicks in again. So you can't do any stamina draining attacks within that next 7 seconds. Now to say that this is ridiculous is an understatement. It's just downright, well, it's murder of maximum might basically. Maximum might just means that we can't do anything that drains our stamina, whether that be attacks, dodging, or running around. We can't do any of that within that set amount of time because maximum might will not kick in if we do. So that is a very, very ridiculous nerf in my opinion. They could have just reduced the affinity boost that it gives to certain amounts instead, kind of like what they've done with weakness exploit. Now the other nerf that's been important that's come up with Monster Hunter World Iceborne is the nerf to the non-elemental boost skill. Non-elemental boost is basically down from 10% to 5%. Now in my opinion this is actually quite a good nerf, but in terms of others they might not see it as such because they use raw equipment, so anything that does raw damage they will use that mostly, and they rely on the non-elemental boost to give them that extra buff. But personally for me, I see it as a good thing. It gives viability to the elemental equipment at this point. Now some of the buffs that are coming up is with the elemental attacks. Elemental attacks are getting next levels of attack boost to them, so they're getting extra added damage to them. So when you have a certain level, it's going to be a bit higher than compared to previous levels of specific elemental attacks. So that's a boost for elemental skills. For critical eye, you get the 40% affinity bonus instead of the usual 20 when you have skills up to level 7. So those are the two buffs that I can think of. There's more out there in regards to the skill information. I'll put a link in the description down below of the thread on the Monster Hunter World subreddit that has all of this information. Now the last change I want to talk about in regards to Monster Hunter World Iceborne is some of the changes that's coming up with the equipment themselves. Now if you're aware of how G rank works, G rank is basically the next level of difficulty in Monster Hunter series. So basically speaking, this means that you also get new equipment or upgrade existing equipment into the next level. So this means that equipment in game as of right now will go from rarity 8 all the way up to rarity 12. Now some of these equipments might maintain rarity 11, so as of right now you have rarity 7 on some of the equipment, then you got rarity 8 on others. This might be the same as well, but as you can see here in the skill tree, for the longswords, most of them have rarity 12 on them. So this is one of the main changes that's coming up with Monster Hunter World Iceborne. The other one is in regards to charms. Charms are now going to have new levels for them as well, so you can now upgrade your charms as well to the next level. So these are some of the changes that I wanted to cover in today's video, just because of the fact that with Monster Hunter World Iceborne we can expect a lot of new changes to come up in order for us to transition from what we have currently into Iceborne. Now in terms of some of the buffs and nerfs, that's very personal opinion as to whether you see it as a good thing or a bad thing. I personally see the non-elemental boost as a good thing, just because it gives viability now to the elemental weapons. So you don't have to rely on longsword, for example, to just be pure raw damage. You can now have elemental longswords as viable because of the fact that it doesn't have as much of a gap between the damage between elemental swords and raw damage longswords. So these are all very personal stuff. And in terms of the layered equipment, this is possibly the biggest change that they can provide us in game as of right now. So layered equipment changes are a big thing because a lot of us have requested for transmog ever since Monster Hunter World came out. Now any other changes that have come up, I'll put the link in the description down below of the video that I got all of the information from. Again, it's in Japanese, so some of the information, if you can't read Japanese, unfortunately it will be very mysterious to you. However, there should be people out there who will be able to translate it for you. And that's pretty much it for me for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.